Thanks for joining us for the City of Maple Grove Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media. Thanks for being with us once again, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you.
We have got a lot to talk about today. A few work sessions the city held, and then an hour-and-a-half council meeting that had, I think, about everything under the sun in it. So stay tuned for that. A lot of great information to pass along in a packed house at that meeting. Begin with work session number 1, happened on September 13th. It's that time of the year you're talking budget, and this was one of the final steps in that process from a staff standpoint, I understand. Yeah,
we'd had a couple budget work sessions during August, and just a little bit more information to bring back to the council and some items to be worked through and discussed. So kind of wrapped up that budget discussion on September 13th, and then part of our meeting last evening on September 18th was to adopt that preliminary levy. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later, where those numbers landed.
Very good. We'll get back to that. Let's move now to the 18th. The head of the council meeting was a work session of a variety of topics. The first one related to the arts.
Yeah, so this is a proposal from Avalanche Arts. They have kind of a vision and a dream for a performing arts center here in Maple Grove. This is being led by a family here, Shane and Danielle Vinnip, in residents of Maple Grove, long-term residents of Maple Grove, have raised their children here, and it's a dream that they've had, and so they're kind of bringing that forward to the city to talk about the opportunity to maybe partner on some city land, that kind of a thing, for this facility. So just an introductory presentation to the council to kind of talk about the concept, what their thoughts are, who might be tenants of that building or users of that building, and what the different aspects of it might be. And so took some feedback from the council, a little bit more information needed there, and so we're going to be circling back with that one probably later this year, after we get some more information back to the council and allow some more discussion about that potential partnership.
All right, we'll keep you informed on that. Next item on that work session was housing goals. Again, something that's been discussed throughout the year in the city.
Yeah, so this ties back to our goals for 2022 to 2024. We had some goals identified there about some housing initiatives, both on the rental front but also on the home ownership front as well. And so this discussion kind of got brought back because of we have been looking at, there's about 5 city lots throughout town that are available for development, like generally like a single family home or one unit type housing. And we had some discussions with MACV, which is an organization that does these types of projects for housing for veterans. And so we'd been having discussions with them about a lot up off on Nathan Lane, sort of in the northwest area of the city, and some questions about that and kind of the background and wanting to learn more about MACV and just the process of how we want to go about that. So lots of good questions last night, more information requested, and so this is another one where we'll be circling back with council with more information, and then see if we want to get some direction about moving forward on some of these lots or not.
Final item of the work session was talk about an old building in the city of Maple Grove that had a fire, and now it's some discussion of what's next.
Yeah, so Old Village Hall had its fire almost a year ago now, last October, and so we've been working we had an architectural firm that came on board to help us kind of understand, what sort of renovation of that building might look like, taking it back to its historical period, and then also talking through, kind of what were some of the potential uses of that building. We did have, organizations that rented it. In addition, the city often used it for programming, that type of thing. So after much discussion and thinking that through in terms of, sort of the cost of that renovation, the potential for reuse, or maybe the potential to use some of those insurance dollars towards other historical, projects in the city, council direction was to go ahead and demolish the building, save some of the historical pieces of it, of course, but that we would proceed with that part of the plan. So something will come back on October 2nd to kind of formalize that direction with the city council, and then we'll try to target those insurance dollars that would have been spent on renovating the project towards various historical efforts in the city.
Very good. All right, that wraps up the work session that was before the council meeting. Now to that meeting meeting, which was again an hour and a half, packed full of a lot of information. Nothing pulled from consent, but the first item was a special guest, the superintendent of Osseo area schools.
Yeah, so you've probably been getting information in your email or your mail at home about the upcoming referendum for the Osseo area schools district. This is kind of their phase 2 of that. 2 years ago they had the phase 1, which was more the operating levies. This is a kind of a capital focused levy on some buildings. It includes a number of things here in Maple Grove, improvements to some of the elementary schools, expansion at Maple Grove Senior High, and then that construction of that new elementary school in Northwest Maple Grove that they've envisioned. So pretty important item for the school district to get information out, to make sure voters are informed. Encourage folks to visit on the district website, district279.org. There's a section called Better Future. That's kind of their tagline for this information education effort. And so encourage folks to get out and take a look at that information from the school district and understand kind of what the bond referendum will pay for, what the impacts are, information on where to vote. Of course, absentee voting applies in this situation. The city isn't involved in this election. The school district is conducting it, so some of those polling locations change up a little bit. So good to go out and get that information early from the district website.
Great. We'll remind you that as we get closer to Election Day. Next presentation was from Maria's Voice, a little overview of that great organization, and also they've got an event coming up.
Yeah, so they were with us to talk about kind of the work that they've been doing in the past year, which is really remarkable. Some of the efforts they're advancing in the community. They have kind of, they're developing these, children's stories to try to help kind of create the foundation of healthy relationships, safe homes, those types of things. They have recently received some federal funding through some congressionally directed spending efforts with Congressman Phillips' office to help support their education awareness programs out in the community, and so that's a great boost to their programming here. And so we'll be with them on October 5th at Town Green for the vigil this year. We're really looking forward to that. It's just kind of a great time of the year to get together, remember those that have lost their lives, and I think the remarkable number in the state of Minnesota is it's been 29 people have lost their lives to domestic violence in the state of Minnesota, and that number is too high. One is too high, and so we have work to do here in the state. We have work to do here in Maple Grove to make sure that there's education and awareness about the common signs of domestic violence, and ensure that those that are experiencing that in their lives know that there are resources there for them, and there's help out there, and there's a way out. And so we'll continue to drive this effort. Our police department is very involved. We have our domestic violence response team. We have our embedded social worker. We partner with Cornerstone. I know our city prosecutor's office takes a very careful approach and close approach with these cases to make sure that they're properly prosecuted and that staff has, or that residents have those resources available to them. So continue to be so appreciative of Bill and Lissa and their work here in memory of Maria, and we'll continue to carry the torch along with them.
Hope you can stop by that event again on October 5th at the Town Green. Next, a couple items related to the fire department. First, a oath of office.
Yeah, so we have a new Deputy Fire Chief, Bill Abderhalden III. We're really excited. Bill has joined us from the State Fire Marshal's office, and so he's taking on kind of that prevention role with fire inspection, education, those types of things. So able to get Chief Abderhalden sworn in last night. It was very lovely. He had his family there and his young son pinned his badge, and so that's always fun to see, and congratulations to Bill and his family.
Next item related to the fire department were some very nice donations, a little recap of all of the work that the Relief Association does, and then a big check as well.
Yeah, so we're always so appreciative of the Fire Relief Association. Of course, they have pull tabs up at the lookout, and that's where they generate this charitable gambling funding that then they drive both back into the community, but also back into the fire department and providing different equipment, the gear washing equipment, the extractors, those types of things, many things things over the years to help support not only our fire operations but the safety of our firefighters here in Maple Grove. So $20,000 contribution this year that goes directly towards the fire department that'll be used in some cancer screening. We know that cancer continues to be a high risk for firefighters, and we've done a number of things to try to improve the safety on the fire scene, and so this is more of kind of a health intervention to kind of understand what people are experiencing. So appreciative of that support there from the fire relief and of course all their work that they do out in the community providing help to those in need as well.
All right, here's reason number one of a big crowd at the meeting on the 18th. That was because it was time for photo winners to be recognized, and you had all ages in the building.
Yeah, it was very fun. So the Maple Grove Moments photo contest winners were awarded. We had almost 500 entries this year, submitted by 135 different residents here in Maple Grove. Over 4,100 votes were cast in the contest to pick the viewer's choice, and so lots of involvement from the community here. We have 5 different categories: going together, going places, going wild, going natural, and then a youth category. Very impressive photography from some of the youth in our community as well. So if you haven't had a chance, the council packet had a PowerPoint with all of the winning photos. Go take a look at those and you'll start to see them in a lot of our publications and social media as we go throughout the year.
All right, hats off to all the winners in that great contest. Now the next reason a lot of people in the council chambers to recognize someone who's been with the city for a long time and announced his retirement.
Yeah, so we're celebrating and sort of, bittersweet celebration for Ken Ashfeld's retirement. He's been with the city since 1988, 35 years of service. So he's really shepherded and provided for the construction and development of this community. We had some aerial photos in the chambers last night, one from current and one from 1988, kind of, how it started and how it's going. And really, as you look at those aerial photos, you can really see the product of Ken's labor here. Much of our transportation system, our county road system, leadership on those, whether it's 610, any project out on 94, those types of things. And then the development and our local street system as well, infrastructure, sewer, water, storm, all those types of things. So I think, some of the comments by council members were spot on, that Ken's fingerprints are all over this community and they will remain all over this community for many years to come. We are forever grateful and indebted for his service, and so really wanting to kind of celebrate him here and honor his service and wish him all the best in his retirement. We pulled out his resume from his personnel file, from 1988.
Well, it had to be good.
It was good, and I thought it was so poignant that he started his resume for his job here telling us about when he started working at the Watkins Co-op Creamery as a laborer and cheesemaker, in his high school, in his early young adult years, teenage years. And, Ken grew up on a farm out in western Minnesota, and, I just always say there's no work ethic like the work ethic of a kid who grew up on a farm. And I think Ken exemplified that throughout his career, his service in the Navy, and then, going on to college and getting his engineering degree. So much appreciation and best wishes to Ken as he transitions to his next chapter of retirement.
Yep, we wish the best as well to Ken from all of us at CCX Media. Always a pleasure to work with Ken. Now to public hearings on the meeting at the 18th and Arbor Lakes Gateway Project, which has had some other names in the past. Tell us again where that is located and what this project or what this public hearing was for.
Yeah, so this is right down at 169, 694, kind of that northwest corner of the big interchange out there. Project Libre, so this is for kind of a office warehouse production lab type facility. The user of that is not public at this time, so it's going under Project Libre. But this provides for all the public infrastructure, so the construction of the roads, sewers, stormwater, and so this kind of sets in motion the improvements to serve that site.
Community and Economic Development, a quick update of some things that are coming up. One, very quickly here, there is a big event coming to town that focuses on manufacturers.
Yeah, so we've re-engaged with the Manufacturers Consortium, kind of post-pandemic, kind of trying to pull those groups back together. So that meeting will be tomorrow morning, Wednesday, September 20th at the Community Center. And it's really focused on folks that are in, kind of the workforce world as well as manufacturers here in the Northwest Metro, and trying to connect resources to help move manufacturing forward.
All right, information on the city's website if you are interested, or to follow that as it moves ahead. Next, Planning Commission on September 25th, and looks like they have a few things on the agenda.
Yeah, so we'll see the Norsk project come back. That's some housing mixed use kind of in the Tri-Care area, north and west of Menards up there. If you haven't been up in that area recently, lots of new road connections being built up into the fields as you go north of County Road 30 up there. So that project will come back. We have a Popeyes restaurant proposed up kind of by Hobby Lobby, that run of that mall, but far on the west end out there, kind of by the furniture store out there. So that's a new restaurant, Popeyes restaurant, and then Little Explorers Daycare Center, and that's over off of Wedgwood, more in the Bass Lake Road area. And then we have a zoning text amendment regarding some outdoor storage for an industrial user along 89th Avenue. So pretty full Planning Commission agenda for September 25th, and we'll see those items come back to the City Council likely at their first meeting in October.
All right, then after Ken had his moment in the sun earlier, he had to sit down and ask a few things of what's coming up within their department, and he had some good news to pass along about 610.
Yeah, so this has been kind of a fun, closure for Ken and his work on 610 is that, last Friday we received federal authorization on the plans and getting out to bid, so kind of all the last pieces falling into place here. So kind of nice to have him have the opportunity to wrap that up before he departs for warmer weather. And so a couple pieces coming on 610. We're going to get those. We have some cooperative agreements with MnDOT that need to be approved probably in early November. The bid opening will be November 10th. We'll probably award those bids the first meeting in December, and you'll start to see some probably winter work happen out there in the fields between now and the spring. So we're real excited about this getting wrapped up and all the pieces falling into place and allowing that to move forward. Another project update was County Road 101. So there's been some work on that segment of County Road 101 just north of Bass Lake Road. They are wrapping that up and should be complete within the next couple of weeks, dealing with some landscape and finishing touches, wear course and striping and those types of things. And so looking to see that project completed in the next couple of weeks and get that access back open between Bass Lake and Rush Creek Golf Course.
Some drivers will be excited. We mentioned at the beginning of this update, we talked about the budget was part of this meeting, and now we get to that, the budget being moved along through the process, and you've got some numbers to pass along.
Yeah, so after the work session discussions, we landed at a 6.68% levy increase this year, which results in about $11 increase to the average home for the city's share of the taxes for the year. So our average home is right around that $400, $420 range, and so that's that $11 increase for the year for the city portion of the taxes. So a lot of work to put together to kind of get that budget in. So I'll just go over some of the highlights here. Pretty modest year in terms of new staffing requests. We are requested to add a city forester position. We're just continuing to see a lot of challenges with the emerald ash borer impacts throughout the community, and our staff's ability to provide kind of that oversight and management of those issues, particularly when we get into commercial areas and then some of our park open spaces and those types of areas where we have a lot, we have a high volume of ash trees that are experiencing impacts or are already dead. The street boulevard trees, I think we've kind of got our arms around that, and then in some more of the more managed areas of the parks, that seems to be something we've been able to get our arms around. It's the piece with our commercial property owners that we really need to kind of do some code enforcement and get folks to remove those trees and replace them. and to make sure that those landscape plans stay intact. And then in those more, trail corridors and those open spaces, that kind of thing, getting after kind of that forest management in there. So, and in addition to that, there are other continuing tree diseases and pests out there, and there will be new ones to come. And so just trying to help kind of add some coordination and boots on the ground effort to sort of that urban forest management here in Maple Grove. So that was one piece. We're going to be increasing some hours for an administrative assistant position in community economic development, adding an investigator position in the police department. We haven't added an investigator for quite a few years, and we just continue to see kind of cases numbers rise, and we're really kind of falling behind in terms of the staffing levels of some of our comparable suburbs that have comparable caseloads. And then adding some support staff in that investigation role too, transitioning one of our CSOs to a more full-time role in support of the investigations. So those were kind of the full-time or part-time additional positions that rely on the general fund for funding. A couple other positions that rely on our enterprise funds. So an additional water sewer utility position to support the water and sewer utilities, and then a maintenance position for the North Metro Range. And that's something that gets voted on by all the partners and funded by all the partners. So that's something that'll be added in support of that expanded facility. Those were kind of the highlights. A lot of discussion about the road reconstruction levy and whether we should try to augment that this year. We know we have some catch up to do in terms of continuing rising project costs and needing to tick that levy number up a bit. We do know there's going to be some additional state MSA dollars, municipal state aid dollars flowing to the city with some new dollars from this last legislative session. So we're still kind of sorting through that and understanding what that's going to look like for the city and how that will come to us. And so we sort of pushed that off, the road recon part, until we know more about that, but likely will be more discussion coming in the future years. So lots of information out on the packet if you want to go take a look. Yeah. This is preliminary levy, high water mark, can only go down from here. We'll be back in December with that Truth and Taxation hearing, and then adopting the final budget at the end of December.
All right, we'll keep you up to date as that moves along, but a lot of work up to this point. One final note from the meeting on the 18th was about a big tour coming up. The bus will be out to look at the parks. Yeah,
so park board tour coming up here Thursday night, and one big thing we're going to be out looking at is a lot of the areas that are having emerald ash borer impacts. Right. So we're going to spend some time there. Also up at Lakeview Knolls, kind of tracking the progress of the new pickleball facility.
All right, we've got a lot of events that happened in the city recently and some coming up. So as we transition here, I want to tell you about things happening in the city. And first is a great event happened recently, Rockin' the Grove.
Yeah, so this was last Saturday night. The Lions Club put on this concert. The feature entertainment was Hairball. I think over 2,500 people in attendance that evening. So great event in the park, and I think great weather for it as well.
We always update you on businesses coming to town. We've got a couple to mention and of different varieties. Tell us what's new in the city.
Yeah, so Border States supplies construction projects for industrial and utility markets. They are the 6th largest independent electrical distributor in the country, and they have a new facility up at Zachary Lane and Highway 610. So congratulations to them, and great to have them in the community.
And then American Family Care, this is a unique place with a unique offering for the community.
Yeah, so a new urgent care and walk-in clinic. It's located at Homestead Corner there, right at Weaver Lake and Elm Creek Boulevard, kind of that new where Duncan is on the corner there. So that's a nice addition to that area of town.
All right, so more businesses coming around the shops as well. They continue to add new things. What's new that we can shop at?
Yeah, so Ragstock, which is a retailer of my youth, they're back. Right. And then Sorted Boutiques. So lots of things happening over at the shops at Arbor Lakes as well.
Keep an eye there. A lot of activity and some more even coming in the future. All right, get your pen out because there's some important dates for fall cleanup. What are the dates and what happens here in October?
Yeah, so we have our 2 cleanup dates. Curbside pickup is Monday, October 2nd, and then cleanup day for the drop-off at Public Works is Saturday, October 7th. Just pre-planning on the pickup at the curbside. You need to sign up for that. Okay. There might be fees associated with it depending on what they're picking up. So check the website for that. And then cleanup day from 8 to noon, information on the website about what's accepted and if there's cost to any of it.
All right, great way to get rid of stuff here before you get into winter. We talked a lot about trees. Let's talk about trees a little more in a positive way through the tree sale.
Yeah, so this is a great opportunity if you've had tree loss in your yard. We offer a nice selection of shade and ornamental trees. Orders must be placed by October 2nd, and then trees will be available for pickup mid-October. Details available on the city website, and they were also included in the fall newsletter.
Very good. All right, it's that time of the year where it's getting a little cooler at night, and so people might want to go out and have a little fire outside, and there's some rules to follow.
Yeah, so we just ask folks to get a permit. It is a free permit. You can apply online, and either you're renewing or getting a new permit, but the most important part we're trying to get out is information about kind of the rules of the road with recreational fires and making sure that they're done safely and far enough from structures, size, those types of things.
It is a hot time of the year for the farmers market, as you might imagine. A lot coming in as far as produce. Remind us where the market is and when.
Yeah, so every Thursday afternoon at the Maple Grove Community Center. We'll be there through October 19th. The hours through September are 3 to 7, and then come October we go to 3 to 6, and then we have some winter markets planned for November and December inside as well.
All right, more as that gets a little bit closer. Here's a neat note about a great organization in the city that uses a popular facility in the city. This is the skating school, and they've been recognized.
Yeah, so the Maple Grove Skating School was recently recognized by Learn to Skate USA as the #1 program in Minnesota and 27th in the nation. They have over 900 skaters enrolled this year, and they use the Olympic-size ice sheet at the community center, and it's a great program. They have a great skating show every spring, and so we're really grateful that they call Maple Grove their home.
Yeah, congratulations to the school. Great, great honor. Harvest Toberfest. Hard to say, but fun to go to. When is it and where?
Yeah, so Saturday, October 7th at Central Park from 1 to 8 p.m. There's food, beverages, local vendors, live music, and this is hosted in partnership with Omni Brewing.
All right, couple final notes here again. As the seasons change, that means leaves are falling and that snow stuff will come at some point, and you have an opportunity here and call out to residents to help your neighbors. Tell us more.
Yeah, so the city partners with Senior Community Services, which truly is a nonprofit organization that's out there to help seniors, you know, whether it's home care activities or just helping them support staying in their home, those types of things. So they are out seeking volunteers to help with leaf raking, snow shoveling, those types of things, and you can find more information about those opportunities at seniorcommunity.org. Great organization and great opportunity to help your neighbors.
All right, final note to pass along, thinking towards October, and one of the main reasons that there might be house fires is cooking, and I understand that's a focus this year of the Fire Prevention Week.
Yeah, so Fire Prevention Week, October 8th through the 14th, and the theme this year centers around cooking safety. Cooking is the leading cause of home fires and home fire injuries, so lots of information in the fall newsletter about those tips to help reduce fire risk in your home.
All right, well, somehow we packed it all in to about 25 minutes of time here, so there you go, all what's happening in the city in that big council meeting. Let's leave you with the next date. As we've mentioned a few times, that next meeting date will be Monday, October 2nd, 7:30 at the Government Center, and we'll talk about that agenda and some other things happening right after that meeting. Website on the bottom left of the screen. So again, a lot going on in the city with elections and other things happening in the city. So maplegrovemn.gov to find out more, and also for the elections, the school district, a great site to go to. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the City of Maple Grove Report.